Next question is from Court Jim Fit. What are the best foods for bulking? What do you suggest for upping calories?
All right.
That's funny. It kind of goes in line with what I was just saying with refeed days.
Totally. So the best foods for bulking, the first criteria that I always consider is digestibility, because the biggest challenge with eating more food is things like bloat, indigestion, heartburn, constipation, like just digestive issues, and that'll prevent you from eating the calories.
Do you know how important what you're saying is? Like, this is literally what limited me from being able to build 10, 15, 20 pounds of muscles through more muscle on my body over the course of my teenage and early 20 years.
Same.
I thought, because I was eating McDonald's supersize and extra, like, oh man, I got to be so high in calorie. But what I wasn't accounting for was after I ate that, I was so backed up for the next 4 or 5 hours.
Cram anything else in?
Yeah, I didn't eat anything. Not to mention the macro profile was way off. I had a little bit of protein, mostly carbs and saturated fat. So I got a bunch of calories, but then I didn't hit my protein intake. Then I wasn't hungry for 4 or 5 hours. Like, understanding actually when I made that switch to eating like leaner, so lower in saturated fats, higher protein, good digestible carbs like potatoes, rice, sweet potato, yams. Yep. I was able to hit my macros and get my calories up, which was so weird for me as a young kid that was trying to build, because I assumed, because I had a hard time putting weight on, that I justified the behaviors around eating whatever food. And a lot of times they were food that was not ideal digestibility-wise.
Same thing.
And it kept me from being able to build.
It went from any calories at all costs to calories that I can digest and that I'll be able to eat again later on. Way better. The first successful bulk I ever did, where I really put on muscle, I want to say I was 16 or 17 years old. And that's when I pieced this together, where instead of eating a bunch of bread and pasta, which I don't digest gluten super well, and a bunch of cereal and candy and sodas, I went rice, ground beef, and vegetables. I remember buying, this is the first time I went and bought some groceries myself, and I went and bought a bunch, and my mom helped me cook it up, because that's what Italian moms do. They cook your food for you. And I ate ground beef and rice and vegetables, and I gained, over that summer, I think I gained like 10, 12 pounds of muscle, which was a lot, for a kid. And it was all because I could digest it. Like, I'd eat this big meal, 2 hours later, 3 hours later, I could eat again. Whereas before, I eat this huge meal, and I was just, the next one was just a chore. And I couldn't eat those calories.
I can't stress how important that is. And because I think when you're trying to gain and you have a hard time putting weight on and building muscle, you easily justify the other foods and you don't realize what you're doing. And so oatmeal became my staple with some, whey protein in there. Then I'd end up getting rice and chicken thighs and vegetables and then a juicy steak at the end of the night with more potatoes or rice, like all these foods that were because what I noticed was I'd be hungry. I could eat again in 2 or 3
100%.
hours. Where if I ate the Togo sandwich with chips and a soda, I didn't want to eat for 4 or 5 hours. If I had the McDonald's, I had the fast food that was high calorie.
Totally.
I wasn't getting enough high, good quality protein, and I wasn't hungry until 4 or 5 hours later.
Yeah, what I would do, like the terrible, like dirty bulk, where I would like eat a meal and then I thought I had to have this like crazy ridiculous shake in conjunction with that. So it would be like this meal and then that on top of the meal, and it was just like overwhelming to where I'd had like gastrointestinal problems I was fighting, like all day long, and then trying to eat on top of that's almost impossible.
Bro, do you remember? I don't know if you guys would. I mean, as a teenager, before I figured this out, I would eat these ridiculous meals because I just like calories. And then I'd sit in class and just my stomach, I'm like, I don't feel good. Well, this is what bulking is.
Demons talking.
Yeah, and then I justify, it's like, well, bulking, it's only for hardcore people, so I'm just going to force myself this whole time.
It's all about force. Like, keep forcing it in.
No, digestibility is real important. So best foods for most people, the most easily digestible foods include red meat, white meat, fish, and then vegetables. Well-cooked vegetables are easier to digest than raw vegetables. And then carbohydrates, white rice, buckwheat, oatmeal can be pretty good.
Sweet sweet potatoes. I think sweet potatoes are even better than potatoes for digestion. I could eat way more sweet potatoes than regular potatoes. Yeah, I could do both pretty well. But I mean, I really think that's the key. One of my favorite dishes, and you said it already, was ground beef mixed with white rice. Man, I could eat like and you can make it in bulk. It's reasonably inexpensive if you buy it in bulk too. So if you buy the ground beef,
cook the rice in bone broth, you got yourself a high calorie rice bowl.
Tastes good, goes down really easy. Yep. I can eat it again 2 hours later. Yep. Like that was a staple. That and chicken thighs and either the rice or sweet potatoes. Like those are like the staple meals for me. Which sounds funny because You're eating healthy and
They
clean.
sound like, yeah, exactly. They sound like cutting foods.
They do, and it is actually, you just less of it, right? So that's really the strategy, is eating more of the healthier foods. And I think the mistake that most people make that struggle with is putting weight on is their food choice.